Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We have the CEO of Ionic Rare Earths, Mr. Tim Harrison here, who's going to update shareholders and the market on the recent announcements the company has made and Viridis and Viridian, the joint venture, has made regarding some fantastic movements forward for the metals or the rare earth magnets recycling business that the company's focused on. I'm going to hand it over to Tim to walk us through some of those, the key points, those announcements. Over to you, Tim.
Hi, Peter. Yeah, look, it's been a busy week. A lot of the work the company's been doing for some time is starting to really bear some very meaningful results, and very pleasing to see the progress that the business has been making over the course of some time. If we start with Ionic Technologies in the UK, earlier this week we announced our circular economy initiative, which is partnering Ionic Technologies with a number of partners in the UK and Europe on demonstrating and maturing, a rare earth permanent magnet supply chain for the UK. So through that initiative, we'll work with some of our partners, which we've already announced previously to the market via MOUs and previous initiatives. We've got some new OEM partners as well that we're working with, which will be ultimately recipients of recycled rare earth oxides into magnets for the electric vehicle initiative underway in the UK. Again, we've been really well supported by the UK government via the APC, and so that £11 million grant initiative will go a long way to helping the company and our partners validate the inputs to build sustainable sovereign capability in the UK. So that was earlier this week, and then today we've announced endorsement from the government in Brazil, our local municipality within Minas Gerais and Poços de Caldas. We've been granted land for the company to now progress via our joint venture, establishing rare earth refining and magnet recycling capability in Brazil. We've had a lot of engagement, a lot of positive discussion with stakeholders in Brazil on the Viridian opportunity, the ability to take the Colossus mixed rare earth carbonate all the way through to separated oxides, but also the ability to move swiftly on magnet recycling to establish downstream capability in Brazil. And so ever since we initially did our first delivery of recycled oxides back in May, we've had constant and enhanced engagement with stakeholders there. We're eagerly awaiting talking about the next stage of moving forward with the Viridian joint venture via the BNDES and FINEP funding initiative, which we expect is going to be a very substantial contribution from the Brazilian government to the Viridian initiative, and that's going to go a long way to helping the company build, sovereign capability in Brazil as well. So yeah, very, very positive week, and proud of what the team has been able to achieve.
Tim, would it be fair to say that this is a real transition week, because the APC grant in the UK, it represents commitment from that government into what's going on in the Belfast facility. It's not the full grant that may still be coming, but it's certainly commitment from them on the business and the opportunity. And also the Brazilian announcement today is also commitment. This is better than letters of intent or memorandums of understanding. This is real commitment by larger and local governments on the technology and a future business for these regions.
Very much so. I think if we look at the signalling and the messaging out of the UK via the APC and the UK government ultimately behind it, UK government wants sovereign capability. In order to build sovereign capability, it needs the inputs, it needs the building blocks. And I think that circular economy initiative, of which Ionic Technologies is leading that initiative, pulls together those building blocks. And there's no point financing one component of a supply chain. It needs the full supply chain to be viable. It needs the material to be flowing. It needs the customers to be in a position and active in supporting it. And I think we've got that ecosystem. We've got that collaborative group of companies now that are in there. There will be some additional companies that will also be part of the UK supply chain. So we're smack bang in the middle of it. And I think that endorsement from the UK government via the APC is hugely hugely positive, and an early indicator of the positive response, the positive engagement that we as a company have had on our capital grant application, and the progress we continue to make. And whilst it's taken a little bit longer than we would have previously liked, we've got visibility. We're making progress. We've had a grant delivery officer appointed by the APC. We can see this is progressing, and hopefully very shortly we'll be able to lock down that cornerstone commitment from the UK government as part of a number of initiatives that secures Belfast capability. And then if we look at what's happened in Brazil, yes, we've got very supportive, local government, state government, federal government. The initiatives there are meaningful. Brazil wants downstream value addition. It doesn't want to be just digging concentrates up and selling those around the world. It wants to see, especially the mineral endowment and rare earths is right at the top of the list. It wants to see the value chain developed in Brazil. And I think through our joint venture, Viridian, we are providing the mechanism, the bridge between, great mineral endowment in Brazil. There's already some small scale magnet capacity there. We've got to convert the concentrates to the inputs, and Viridian is that vehicle. And I think by both recycling and refining, we're perfectly positioned to capitalize on that opportunity in Brazil.
And Tim, Colossus is turning out to be one of the great rare earth deposits, isn't it? So it's not only of scale, it's incredibly solid, high grade, and on the doorstep of North America. And with the backdrop of the United States Department of Defense wanting to secure supply chain for their own domestic use, that positioning strategically is outstanding. It has to really fit into the US rare earth supply chain very, very perfectly and very timely.
Yeah, look, I think Colossus, or Viridis's Colossus project has got a lot of attributes that really start to position it as a very unique asset. But that's something for the VMM team to talk about. I think from an Ionic perspective, we can be a conduit to take a really good project and bring that into the supply chain, and that's what we're very keen to do, to work with our partners in Viridian to do that. Certainly it's been a transitional week for what we've seen. Some significant deals that have been done over the course of the last 7 days. The pricing piece and the security, or the floor pricing around neodymium, praseodymium, is, I think, a very strong signal. But beyond NdPr, you need the dysprosium, you need the terbium in order to make the sintered magnets that go into the high-end applications, whether it be electric vehicles, wind turbines, robotics, military and defense. So, whilst one piece of the supply chain or the supply chain puzzle, there's some clarity around that with MP, you're going to need the balance of heavy rare earths coming from the ionic adsorption clays, and also from end-of-life magnets recycling. So that's where our company and our focus has been, the heavies, the dysprosium, the terbium. And, that's why we've had a tremendous amount of engagement and inbound inquiry about DYTB, especially on the back of the export the focus on heavy rare earths has never been greater.
Well, Tim, obviously those two announcements are precursors to a lot more news coming. You're right in the middle of the critical rare earths narrative at the moment. It's headline news. What are some takeaways for shareholders that you've got to give them on the last couple of announcements, and we can expect weeks and months ahead?
Yeah, look, so I think we can see, there's a lot of activity now happening in the rare earth space. A lot of focus now about bifurcation of supply chains and pricing. A lot of interest now in recycling. I mean, Apple's investment into MP Materials has got a real recycling focus. We believe that, certainly the technology that Ionic Rare Earths has got through Ionic Technologies is a differentiator in being able to provide separated oxides. And we're talking with a lot of groups now. We're evaluating opportunities in the US. We expect that, shortly we'll have a presence in the US. We've got our UK facility. We're working through the financing or the initial capital grant requirements, which is really the first step on the financing. We've got a number of other strategic dialogues underway. We're talking with customers. There is a lot more focus now on how can manufacturers in the advanced manufacturing space now secure this material. They can't wait for the mines to be developed. They need the molecules now, and realistically, recycling can deliver that material within 12, 18, 24 months. We've got a lot of inquiries now on the molecules of the DYTB we're making right now out of Belfast with our demonstration plant. So that's a big focus for the team now. It's execution, delivery, and being in a position where we can commit that material to some partnerships that we'll hopefully be able to announce shortly. And then with Brazil, I think we're eagerly anticipating finalisation of the funding package from BNDES and FNEP. And that will enable us to move forward with what we intend to build in Brazil on the downstream supply chain. And so, we've got quite a bit going on right now. It's an incredibly exciting time for the business. I think we're smack bang in the middle of this whole focus around, alternative supply chains and access to heavy rare earths and magnet rare earths.
And I think the market's starting to wake up a bit of improvement in recent days on the share price, Tim, as a result of some of those announcements, where I think the market is waking up to the opportunity that exists right now in the stock code IXR. So we look forward to hearing some updates and some news in the coming weeks and months. Thanks for your presentation and discussion this morning.
Thank you, Peter.